In this section, we are going to explore the components of your life that are affected due to an imbalance in your psychic heart. As you already saw in the previous section, your psychic heart's main function is to connect you with other people and at the same time pump pleasant physical sensations which generate emotions, thoughts, and feelings which activate the actions that you carry out in your own reality. All of this that I have told you about up to this point is what happens internally. But in this section, we are going to focus on the tangible part of this process. That is, what you perceive when your heart suffers from some type of imbalance. These components of your life are four. They are the ones that affect the majority of people. First of all, your mood. Secondly, and because of the first, your sense of valuation. Thirdly, your motivation. And finally, your body, which is what causes this lack of energy and over time, that somatization of some type of disease, whether in your cardiovascular system or your nervous system. Let's first see what happens to your moods. Your psychic heart becomes unbalanced because you have suffered some disappointment or breakup in a relationship, which leads you to separate yourself from someone. But the problem is that your psychic heart remains performing that function anyway, persisting in linking you with someone who hurt you. And with this, it causes imbalance because you want to break the bond, but you cannot. And that is going to be precisely what is going to cause your mood to be altered. You are going to want to be happy, enjoy life, but you are not going to be able to do it because you feel that process of disengagement which has been caused by the breakup that you have suffered with that person who is still so important to you. That causes sadness to arise in you that you cannot get rid of. Then the heart suffers, the mood is altered. No one could tell me that if you are suffering from psychic heart disease, you will feel happy. They will enter a depressive process almost automatically. So, if you look, we already have two problems. One is the heart disease itself, and two, this disease generated a depressive process that must be dealt with. Here, the only thing I want you to see is how a psychic heart disease affects another aspect of your life, which is going to prevent you from having a balanced existence because your whole world is going to be altered. Then, your psychic heart is altered, it induced a state of depression, and with this, the second component of your life that allows you to move forward is affected, which is precisely your sense of value. If even before the trauma that caused your psychic heart disease, you had some type of assessment, that is almost completely erased. Since you enter a state in which you stop perceiving how valuable you are, because your psychic heart begins to constantly pump those sensations that originate in your chest and that are translated as those thoughts under which you do not matter to anyone, because you do not have to offer anything to the world in which you live. You must consider that in reality, this is the first state of your psyche that is generated due to a hurt heart, the sense of undervaluation, which in turn generates the depression you feel. Here, I did it the other way around because I wanted you to first see how your mood is altered because it is the first thing you perceive. But the truth is that what causes that mood to be altered is precisely the type of sensations and ideas that your heart begins to pump throughout your system. And this is what brings us to the third component of your life that is affected due to an imbalance in your heart, which is nothing other than your personal motivation. When you were with your partner or the person or thing you had bonded with, your motivation was at its highest. I am sure that in that state you felt like you could achieve anything you wanted in life because you had hope. But what happens when your heart is altered? Well, you enter a state in which you no longer want to do anything else. Why? Precisely because those sensations, which could be translated as no one cares about me, are what lead you to say internally, why I am going to do anything for the world and for myself, if in order to accounts is not going to make any change in people's lives. If you look, there is the key to why you refuse to move forward in your life. You don't do it because you don't think you should, but actually because it is your psychic heart that leads you to believe that you can only do things that you are linked to other people. The treatment for a case of this type will always go hand in hand with helping the patient to connect with other things that allow him to achieve that motivation that he previously achieved, but with the person of which he maintains that unfinished link. Although we are going to work on that in the treatment phase, here I just want you to see the parts of your life that are affected and why they do so. And finally, and as I already indicated, the fourth aspect of your life that is altered because of your psychic heart is your body, which begins to somatize everything that is being generated in your internal world. First, through tears, pain in the chest, which in turn causes inability to breathe properly, and with it, headache specifically, and eventually pain throughout the body. If this condition persists, which is what I work on, people begin to see their entire body system affected because there has been a chronic process of inability to manage those emotions that alter your body. That is where more serious diseases begin to express themselves. That the stomach pain that manifested itself due to the desperation that caused pain in the psychic heart is what leads you to develop an ulcer. If left untreated, it can turn into cancer. The same with the physical heart, which is altered by these sensations that I have told you about here. And by pumping in an increasingly faster or altered way due to those bad feelings, over time it begins to cause some time of imbalance at the cardiorespiratory level, which could eventually generate a much bigger problem, which could have been solved very quickly simply developing a very cardiopsychic therapy. In the next section, I am going to work on the main factors that make your psychic heart sick so that you learn to recognize them. I see you there.